What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of 30 and 30, and today we're going to talk about why intuitive eating is crap. Yes, I said it. Intuitive eating is crap, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. I've seen way too many people that are competitors talk about, oh, I preach intuitive eating, yada, yada, yada. This is the way to go. And when I see that, first, I think it's a little bit lazy. But secondly, it's definitely not optimal. And especially for people that are trying to compete at a high level, I am 100% against intuitively eating, even in the off season. And yes, I track my macros. I've been tracking my macros for the past 7 years, 24/7, every single day of the year. I rarely miss a day where I don't track my macros. And if anything, I get very, very close. And yes, there are days such as Christmas where I do eat, pretty much wherever I want. But more often than not, I'm going to be in my macro zone, if you will, 100% of the time, especially within my calories. So why do I not like intuitive eating? And some people absolutely love it, and some people actually coach intuitive eating, which is a whole nother topic, but I am going to cover that today because it grinds my gears a little bit. And when people coach intuitive eating, it's essentially telling people to eat whatever they want like they normally would, and you really don't get any added benefit from it. And yes, I know there's people out there who might say, well, I've been tracking my macros for 10 years. I roughly know what 4 ounces of chicken looks like. Fantastic. But if you can do that and you can hit it every single time on the scale, 4 ounces of chicken, by all means, keep intuitively eating. But in another video that I did earlier, I did talk about optimizing your intake, and intuitively eating is not going to optimize your intake. So that was another video I already talked about, but today we're focusing on intuitively eating only. So why don't I like intuitive eating? Let's get into that. Well, in the last video I talked about training volume. Well, when we all first started, I was super guilty of intuitively training. I would go into the gym and I would lift whatever weights I felt like. Sometimes they would be heavy, sometimes they would be light, sometimes I'd get to the weight stack and blindly throw it in one of the holes and on a cable pull down or something like that and be like, this feels good today. I'm going to do 12 reps. I'm going to do 15 reps. Well, now I'm going to do 20. And from workout to workout, I would do whatever rep ranges I felt like doing. How was my progress? Terrible. Because I didn't track when I first started. I wish I did, and luckily I only did that for about maybe 6 months when I first started, and then I started tracking my workouts. Then what happened? Then I started to get stronger, and when I started to get stronger, I started to gain more muscle. Wow, it's like crazy how that happens, right? So with intuitive eating, one of my friends gave me the slogan, and I really liked it: what gets measured gets managed. So if you're not measuring something, you can't properly manage it. And when people say, oh, I'm an intuitive eater, we are all intuitive eaters by nature. If we weren't, we'd all starve to death. So that's my take on intuitive eating. If you want to preach that, by all means, go for it, but don't charge anybody, because like I said, if we didn't have anyone coaching us, we'd all be intuitive eating when we got hungry. So what does intuitive eating do for us? Well, it allows us to estimate our total calories simply by look. Like I said earlier in the video, if you could go to a scale and you could grab one serving of almonds and throw it down and say, oh, that's 30 grams every single time, by all means, keep doing it. But I guarantee over time, as people stop tracking or stop using their scale, their proportion size gets out of control. Because yes, if myself, for example, were to stop using the scale today, I guarantee for about a week or so, I could probably eyeball my portion sizes. Yes, I could probably guess roughly how much 4 ounces of cooked chicken is. Yes, I could eyeball, roughly what 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of vegetable is. I could guesstimate, what 1 serving of almonds is. But over time, my perception is going to change because I'm not used to putting it on the scale. And how much effort does it really take in order to throw something on the scale? I know many of us have scales, whether you keep them on your counter or not. I just leave mine out. May drive my wife a little bit crazy because I occupy a little bit too much counter space with it sometimes. And yes, I definitely don't clean it probably often as I should because I use it so much. But don't keep it in your cabinet. Don't make it a chore for you to use your scale. I use it for every single meal of the day, and especially, if I'm going to be out of the house, I will plan meals based off of the scale. I'm not just going to throw it out the window or only use it during contest prep or, and only use it sparingly when I feel like, oh, I'm going to get back on track. No, I use it all the time because just like I'm tracking all my workouts, I'm tracking all my food to the best of my abilities all the time. Some people might think that it's a little bit overkill. But if we're gonna try to be the best as we possibly can be, we definitely are tracking our workouts. I'd say most of us are tracking our workouts, but why aren't most of us tracking our intake? And this is where people, especially in their off seasons, they wonder how they gain so much weight. And they're like, well, I was intuitively eating for a while. I really don't know where my macros at, where my intake is at. And then they actually track their intake. And their intake is way higher than they thought because they don't know what a portion size is anymore because, I roughly know what it is. I roughly know how much I'm intaking. Well, what gets measured gets managed. So guys, that's my take on intuitive eating. I definitely don't encourage it. I have all my athletes, including myself, because I practice what I preach. I weigh my stuff. I track my macros off season, contest prep, day in, day out. If you want to be the best, you have to train like the best. So guys, thanks for tuning in for this episode of 30 and 30. Tune in tomorrow for another video. I'll see you then.